So my thing is, as a Pan-Africanist, we believe in the unity of all African people. And to separate yourself away from our African immigrant brothers and sisters so you don't have to share any of your resources from your reparations package is selfish, ridiculous, and unnecessary. We approach the issues that affect our people from a global perspective. We need Africa. Africa needs us. The entire diaspora is interconnected and interdependent. We need each other. Yes, there's Africans who don't like African Americans. There's African Americans who don't like Caribbean Africans. There's Caribbean Africans who don't like British Africans. There's Canadian Africans who don't like Brazilian Africans. Yes, we have bigotry within the African race, but I'm bigger than that. And the Pan-African movement is bigger than that. And we understand that united we stand, divided we fall. To simply answer your question, you don't have to demonize African immigrants, and you don't have to weaponize your American African identity in order to protect your share of reparations. It's an unnecessary evil that was added to the pot that is undoing the relationship between Africans in the diaspora that many of us has been working towards for the greater part of our lives. And I would dare suggest, I don't think it's true, but it's possible, it at least has to be considered, whether or not these movements are being financed by anti-African interests. Because these organizations really take off when? Around 2019, which is the year of return, when African governments was reaching their hands out to Africans in the diaspora saying, come home and be with us. I was in Ghana for the year of return celebration in 2019. So you mean to tell me it's just a coincidence that at a time when Pan-Africanism is at its height, these anti-African immigrant groups come from out of nowhere and start attacking and demonizing and criticizing and belittling African immigrants at the very time that the Pan-African movement is beginning to take off again? I wouldn't be surprised if I read a COINTELPRO paper 10 years from now that say that this was financed by the FBI. I'm not saying it is, because I think they would have chose better people to lead these movements if it was a government-financed thing. But I'm not going to rule it out. I'm not going to rule out the potential that there's some government involvement in these anti-Pan-African movements. Because let us be clear, the United States government has already spoken. It's been spoken of several times in national security study memorandums that the unification of American Africans and continental Africans is the greatest threat to American foreign interests. This comes from the State Department. The State Department said the only threat to what we trying to do to this world, which is basically dominated, is the interconnected political economic unity of American Africans and African Americans. Not Christianity, not Islam, not this, not that. Pan-Africanism is the only threat America has identified as being a risk to its global agenda.
Is that even a possibility that we could connect back with each other in that manner?
Why not?
For one, I have some African friends that close friends with me. Like, I have, shout out to all my brothers in the city that we like slept together like brothers. And they expressed a lot of deep stuff to me, and they only trusted me because I'm West Indian. They definitely believe and taught in their culture, if you're American Black, that you are bad. And the only reason I was even accepted is because, my West Indian background. So I'm wondering, again, how do we, with that bridge, how do we even, if they don't even trust us, how do we?
We have to make sure we don't overgeneralize. As I said earlier, there's bigotry in every African population in the world, everywhere. There's nowhere you're going to go and not find some Black people who ain't got an issue with some Black people from somewhere else. But guess what? White people go through the same thing. Jews think they're better than Italians. Italians think they better than the French. French think they're better than the Irish. Let's go to the Asians. Chinese think they're better than Koreans. Koreans think they're better than Vietnamese. Japanese think they're better than the rest of them. So you have that in every race. So we don't have to be a utopia. The question is, can there be operational unity? And I believe that there can be, because as someone who's traveled every continent except Australia, where I'll be in the spring, there are genuine Pan-Africanists in Africa who want that unity. There are genuine Pan-Africanists in Jamaica who want that unity. There are genuine Pan-Africanists in Canada and France and London and in South America who want that unity. The issue is those of us who want it got to come together. That's all it is. Let's be honest. The white man is doing everything he can to keep us apart. Do you know that I've been told by Africans that when they come here, they're told by immigration not to mix with us. They're told. And another thing I think that we often discount, the African immigrants, and I'm not saying anything bad against my African immigrant brothers and sisters. The Africans you meet in America are a certain kind of an African. They're the ones that the country felt comfortable enough with to let them over here. They're not letting the Pan-African revolutionaries over here. You understand me? They let that 3% that we got, it's a certain kind. The radicals don't get here. I got friends in Africa who've been trying to get a visa for 30 years to visit me in America. Won't let them out the country. You know why? Because they real. You see what I'm saying? In a lot of African countries, you got to play the lottery to get a visa. You got to win the lottery to get a visa. Whether you can afford it or not, they don't even care. They're only letting a few of you out because they don't want the unity amongst the revolutionary Pan-Africanists. So we're judging an entire continent of nearly 1 billion people by a couple million African immigrants who happen to dance to the tune that America wants them to. We got to be careful with that. And so many brothers and sisters who take issue with the Pan-African program and who actually espouse the viewpoint that you just argued, they never been to the continent. You got people saying Africa don't want us. You never been there. You see, so my thing is we got to broaden our horizons. And at the end of the discussion, what this really is about, it's about American Africans who believe they have a future with the white man that offers more promise than a future with the black man elsewhere. That's the bottom line here. All these people you're talking about, these FBAs and ADOS, they believe they have a greater chance of working with this racist white man in America to achieve their ends than collaborating with their brothers and sisters around the globe. And I can tell them right now, history will prove them wrong. The only salvation for African people is with African people. The Honorable Marcus Garvey said, a strong man is strong everywhere. I've seen it. When I travel, Jews are respected everywhere I've been. Arabs are respected everywhere I've been. Anglo-Saxons respected everywhere I've been. East Indians everywhere I've been. Guess who's disrespected everywhere I've been? Even in Africa, we are. Nobody respects us. They pay us no attention because we have no power. And power comes through organization. In order to build political and economic strength, we got to be organized. We are not where we are because we're black. We're where we are because we choose not to get organized because we're black. Why the Chinese running the world right now? The Chinese are the most organized people. When Mao Zedong started the Chinese Revolution, do you know what he did? He sent his students around the world to study what everybody else was doing.